Hey guys, welcome back to another lore video, and today we're going to be talking about why blasters in the Star Wars universe were largely so ineffective. But before we begin, please be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a lore video from us. So, blasters in Star Wars have a bit of a reputation. Mostly one for not being able to hit the broadside of a barn, if the barn was the size of an Empire State Building. This generally seems to be a trend that's carried over into a lot of different Star Wars media, and a lot of the general fandom just assumes that blasters are really, really terrible. Now, they're not necessarily wrong, but let's go over really briefly why blasters were so ineffective and why they were so struggled with during many of the different conflicts in the Star Wars universe. First and foremost, what you have to understand is that the vast majority of characters that we see in Star Wars did not have any kind of formal training. With the exception of clones in the Clone Wars and the earliest introduction of stormtroopers, there was really not a lot of organized military viewed in Star Wars for the longest time, and because of this, the general impression of people with competency using blasters was fairly minimal. This lack of training really pertained quite heavily into the second of the original Star Wars trilogy's films, where it can be quite seen that they're just ineffective. There's a reason why there's the meme of stormtroopers not being able to hit anything, and that's largely due to the fact of the poor replacement training that stormtroopers received after the destruction of the first Death Star. In the same vein, the rebels didn't really have a lot of training either. A lot of them were farmers, hunters, or survivors of previous conflicts that, while experienced, did not have formal training in how to best use the weapons, so very few could claim any kind of marksmanship. Another reason that blasters were so largely ineffective was the scale at which they were produced. In general, blasters kind of came off an assembly line, but they were more like a very olden style assembly line. Because of this, they weren't very effective, well-crafted weapons so much as what could just be put out on the market. This means that short of being a few meters away from your target, or without excessive training, the weapon's efficiency dropped dramatically, and its accuracy was so poor. This is especially seen when a lot of farmers really struggled, and even weapons that the rebellion could get their hands on were just very poor in general. The Empire's economy of scale did slightly improve this, but at the same time, it's not like they went out of their way to give their soldiers the absolute best in weapons technology that they probably could. And lastly, one of the reasons that blasters tended to get a bad rap was simply for how they worked. They fired a concentrated beam of energy that came from a specific gas, and liquid tabana gas, to be honest, that was usually aerosolized. And because of that, when the beam went off, it would strike an object. Now, if it hit a person, it was pretty deadly, but it wasn't really effective against objects or energy shields. Since these two things tend to be prolific, either using physical cover or using energy shields, the ability for blasters to become an effective weapon dropped remarkably. Even outside of Mandalorian armor, the standard armor used by stormtroopers, including their bodysuits and the armor itself, were really good at energy dispersion, meaning that even a direct hit with a standard blaster rifle wasn't even fatal, and a trooper might be back up within an hour depending on how hurt they were medically. This greatly seems to affect how effective blasters were. However, it's not like they were entirely useless either. They were the standard weapon of Star Wars for a reason, both in terms of how quickly and easily they could be reproduced, and the fact that they were, despite not being accurate, really easy to be used by the general population of the Star Wars universe. Pointing and shooting, while never trained in, was easier to do than for most people to learn a specific melee weapon of some type, and that's why they became popular. I hope this answers your question as to why blasters were so ineffective in the course of Star Wars, and please be sure to join us next time for another lore video. Okay, bye!